What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Hit me with a like, add me on Twitter, add me on Instagram at the Hook Picks. Looking at this card on Sunday, I'm excited for it. I've got a few great games to look at, couple that I'd like to bet. But before I do, I want to remind you of a couple things that are important to me, how I look at the card, how I look at sports betting in general. And this is a game. Okay, guys, this is a game. All right, there's a game within the game. Yeah, we're betting on basketball. This is true. We're betting on teams. We're betting on who's going to win and cover spreads. Yes, but there's also a game within that game, and that's the numbers. That's the lines. All right, you gotta keep this in mind. This is just how I'm a real analytical type guy. I'm a contrarian just by nature, and so when I'm looking at numbers, I'm also looking at thinking, what would I be doing if I'm the books, right? I'm trying to think like the books to try to find where they view weakness or strength, right? And that helps me identify spots. You won't hear me too much talking about particular matchups, although I'm aware of them. You won't hear me talking about shooting percentages for particular players, etc. Although I'm aware of it, but I don't look very deep into that like some other cappers do. I believe that the performances by individuals is all baked into the cake, and that being the total score, right? That's the name of the game, is to score points. If you got guys that are doing well, that's going to reflect in the score. So I believe all those things, matchups, schemes, it's all baked into the cake that is the final score, which you can look at over recent history, long-term history. Okay, and that's where I pull my information from on teams, a lot of it, and from watching, of course. So I have a different way of capping than some folks. It works for me. You need to figure out what works for you. I'm here to share the information that I've learned from other cappers and pass it on to you, and so you can develop your own way of winning. And that's what that's what I'm trying to do here, is to help you win. That makes me happy. I love to win. So let's win together. I got a couple games for you today. So we're going to start with the first one. We're starting at 8 o'clock Eastern. Heat and the Hornets. Man, the Hornets are a fun team to watch. Really happy that LaMelo Ball's back. He was back yesterday. Looked really good. The Heat are on a back-to-back on the road. They just played in Cleveland last night, and now they're going to go to Charlotte. Not too far. All right, so not too concerned of the distance. The last time that the Heat covered in their division was February 28th, and that was against the Orlando Magic. That was a long time ago. If you're counting the days, that's 63 days ago. It's a long time, and it's not like their division is top of the league or anything. So prior to that, prior to that cover against the Magic in the end of February was against the Wizards. That was early February, and that was in a revenge game. That was the second game of a two-game series versus the Wizards, and they won the second game, the revenge game, after losing the first. So it's kind of okay. It's a long time ago, and neither one of those is impressive. The Miami Heat are 0-2 in this season series against the Hornets. They lost both home and away in the games previously this season. They're 5-6 straight up in the division. The Heat are 15-16 on the road for the season. They're 2-5 against the spread the last 7 road games. The Heat are 1-3 against the spread on the last 4 back-to-back road games. That goes back to early March. However, they are 6-4 against the spread the last 10. That's all games, right? But what I'm looking here is at road trends and the prior matchup. So the prior lines in this game was the Heat -2 and the Heat -7.5, and now we're looking at looks like fives is everywhere right now. It looks like it's Heat -5. So it looks like the books are kind of middling in here. Looks like they're just kind of stabbing. They're kind of really not sure what to expect. It's not necessarily showing strength, in my opinion, to the Heat, considering they've had a 7.5 before, and they've lost twice. If they were showing strength to me, you would see a line closer to 10 or something like that. But there's no way that he could lay that many points. So that kind of tells you, right, that it's a closer matchup than than they may have thought earlier in the season. So all right, so let's look at the Hornets. Hornets, they're also on a back-to-back, but they've been at home, and they're also a younger team. So younger teams generally do better on the back-to-back just because they're younger, right? They're 7-2 straight up in the division. Now that's to me, that was one of the strongest indicators about this team for me, in addition to other things I'll get to. But they do well in their division here. So I mean, 7-2 straight up, that's solid, right? And now they're getting 5 points. Okay, they're 17-13 at home. Okay, so they have a winning record at home. Okay, all right. They're full squad. Everyone's back. Ball, like I said, Ball came back yesterday. Monk's back as well. And neither one played a ton of minutes. Ball looked good. You know, I was curious to see his ball handling and rebounding. All that's there. So you know, I'm not. My concerns were alleviated. You could say that after seeing what Ball did yesterday. So he can do better. He can also do worse. But that's a great start for as long as he's been gone. I already mentioned that the Hornets have already beat the Heat twice this year, home and away, with the same Heat lineup that we're expecting tonight. So, okay, all right. So the Hornets know this team. The Hornets are 2-2 against the spread on home back-to-backs. That goes back through February, so they haven't had too many of these situations, you know. But they, you know, 50-50. All right, certainly better than the Heat's record in these situations, right? And the Hornets are also 4-6 against the spread last 10. All right, just to be fair comparisons, I told you what the Heat was. But you know, we're looking at these specific scenarios and matchups, not so much just blindly looking at last 10. It's just something to keep in mind to help with the cap, right? That being said, I disregard those last 10 ATS records. If anything, they have I think they're more likely to trend towards 50-50, right? So all of these ATS numbers and trends point toward the Hornets, and I was able to find a 6 on MGM, so I took that. So Hornets +6 is our first play for today. The Spurs and the 76ers. Now, man, I like the Spurs. I really do. They made some money for me. That was a wild game the other day, right? Blew a 30-point lead. Today is a horrible spot for the Spurs. Pop open your app and look at their schedule. The Spurs just got off a 4-game road trip. They're going to come home for just this one game. Okay, a 4-game road trip, and mind you, how they lost this last game, had a 30-point lead, go to overtime, and lose in overtime. All right, they covered for us. Yes, they did. But they lose outright with a 3-point lead, and now they're coming home for one game. Okay, and then they're going to leave tomorrow to go to Jazz. They play the Jazz tomorrow. All right, this is a total flat spot. Total flat spot for the Suns. Look, they just came home. They've had a day off, see their family, sleep in their own bed. All right, they got this game today. It looks like Murray's going to sit out. He's doubtful today, and so look, and on top of that, the Spurs are not good at home. If you've been paying attention this year, you know the Spurs are not good at home. And then Murray's doubtful. That tells you right there. In addition, like I said, it's a horrible spot. Total flat spot for the Spurs. I don't think they get up for this game. I think they're going to mail it in because they have a tough 2-game matchup starting tomorrow. Play the Jazz tomorrow for 2 games. So you know, I think there's a day off in between the games. But either way, horrible spot for them tonight against a very tough 76ers with no injuries. No one's listed. They're coming out full squad tonight. The prior line was Philly -4.5. That was at home. Now it's at -6 on the road. That's showing strength. I mean, because remember, home court advantage is about 1.5, 2 points. It's not even reflecting on the line. You'd think if that was the case, it'd be looking at something closer to 2, right? No, it went the other way, right? So that's a sign for me. Remember, I told you I'm looking at how the books are looking, and so in addition to how the teams are looking. So yeah, I mean the Sixers are a half game out from the Nets for the number one seed. The Nets play the Celtics tonight. That's going to be a tough game for both of them. So the 76ers have a great opportunity tonight. Great opportunity to get back to get to the number one seed, and they're 4-3 against the spread in road games through March, and 2 of those 3 losses was against the Bucks. So the Spurs is no Bucks, right? So I like the 76ers today. I think it's a cheap number because probably because the Spurs have been hot recently, right? And so, but today is not the day for them. So we're gonna lay the 6. I got 76ers -6. Sunday, May 2nd, the Hook official plays. We have the Hornets +6. I got that at MGM, and I also have the 76ers -6. I got that at William Hill. Best of luck, everybody.